to be the last one for today here in this room. Miles is an experienced EvolveUX presenter. No.
Yeah.
We met 2 weeks ago. No, oh my God, last week, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. One of those trips down to New York to host an EvolveUX here in New York, and I was like, Miles, we want you back on stage. So, round of applause for Miles, please. And we got your 5 minutes.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to do this super fast. But I'm Miles. I'm a designer, a co-founder, and a developer. I co-founded Suits and Sandals back in 2011, just not too far from here. We're a small studio, but we have capabilities ranging from brand strategy, brand identity design, and most importantly, my favorite, web design and development. But throughout the years, we've basically just been building 3 different types of websites, and we kind of saw them today. They're kind of the marketing websites that have, a brand that has a narrative and a product that they need to communicate, the differentiators and, just basically show the features and functionalities of specific products. And then also I've been building websites that are a lot more intense with a ton of content, because the business, like this one for example, there's, they have a portfolio of work, they have solutions, services, and then an entire resource library that all kind of, intersect with one another and are all related to each other. So it's always kind of been, a huge challenge to try and figure out how can you, make it known to the users that this little content right here, there's 50 other types of content that's actually related to it, right? And over the years, I've kind of just been building this like dream list or something. It's like a wish list of what would be the dream website, right? What would be the thing that can solve a lot of the UX things? I mean, in the last presentation, we had a lot of data that we were seeing, a lot of things, and it looks beautiful, but we're stuck with relying on filters. We're stuck with relying on, having like accordions and sliders and all of these things. And so I love to build in public, and that's kind of why I'm doing this. But last week I started a new R&D project at our studio to kind of explore and finally create a dream website, right? And as the branding kind of studio that we are, I created just like a fake brand just to be the shell for a lot of these UI ideas. And so right now it's still in development because I literally just started coding it and designing it last week. But I want to share with you kind of some initial ideas for concepts, because now, fortunately, we have AI and we have all of these new frameworks, features, and functionalities that are, readily available to the point where one person can actually like develop these things. So I'm building it on my own, and I'm just kind of like designing it on my own and sharing it to the people on my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. But yeah, I'd love to hear more ideas of like dreams and wish lists for UX, for UI, and features, that you wish was possible, and maybe it is possible, right? So let me just like quickly walk you guys through this. So this is for just like a fake tech, Tony Stark looking company. It's like a drone. And essentially, with this experience that I'm making, you kind of just scroll through it, but then you're basically just greeted with this little smart bar at the bottom. And the main site navigation is, of course, still in a fairly familiar UI, this like little menu button over there. But then the majority of the UI is a little chat bar, right? So by now, a lot of us are familiar with like ChatGPT and what that experience feels like. So it's not that I'm recreating or creating anything completely new. I'm just taking what we're getting familiar with and what we're already familiar with and applying it to this project. And so the first thing and the first feature I started creating is basically, prompts and being context aware of, as you explore and scroll through a particular page like this one, the pre-written prompt will react to the section that you're on and give you some ideas on what can you ask, like what types of information is available to this thing. So depending on like where you are, it'll always kind of just be this little smart bar that's kind of guiding you along the way. One of the biggest things that I always see is with call to actions like buttons, learn more, just like learn more buttons. I always have to struggle with my clients trying to figure out, okay, which particular piece of content are we going to now link to, right? And now we're seeing UI patterns that have a primary button and a secondary button. But in this particular idea, it's more of a expand. And when you click on it, the AI now starts to recommend relevant content based on how you've been using the particular, or what section of the page you're spending the most time on and what you're interested in. So it's kind of like sourcing through the entire CMS and then just starting to recommend how you might dive deeper, what related resources are available. So you can hover over these things. It'll give you either you can view it or download it right now. Another thing that I always wanted was a way for people not to click into a link and then, they get stuck on that page and they find out it's not even the page that they wanted to be on. And so luckily with, AI now, it can summarize a lot of these pages. So what, sort of exploring and proposing here is a potential experience where as you hover over a link, before you click into it, you get a little summary of what that page is. So again, this is nothing new. Like you see this in like mega menus and things like that, little cards, right? It's just a little excerpt so that you're kind of telling your users, okay, this is what this piece of content is. If you are interested in it, go explore further. So those in context types of features, I think, will be really cool and kind of go a long way. I lost my mouse. The second thing that I started working on is, okay, what is this smart bar? What does it actually do? And the farthest I got was, well, first of all, a lot of the projects I work on, they have a login system. So, I'm building a single sign-on just to explore what that would be. But then also, it's pretty standard and hopefully nothing too crazy and new. It's just a chat system. But it'll be smart enough because it has context. So it kind of knows where you are within the page and then in the grander scheme of things within the website. And then it could recommend other areas where you could dive deeper, related resources, all that good stuff. And then of course, if you're logged in, you'll have access to other features where you can bookmark certain things and save resources, and then some other ideas that maybe you guys have that I can code in and develop. The very last thing that I want to show is just the resources. So within the resources, again, this is kind of like a classic case of there's a ton of documents, a ton of guidelines, specifications, all sorts of stuff, and how can someone interact with this now that we have AI and now that we can leverage a lot of these technologies. So first of all, you can query it. instead of going through the filters, you can just say, show me some resources of blah, 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 whatever. And then the AI will pull in and manipulate the UI that you're seeing there. And you can have kind of a sort of different experience than doing checkboxes on a filter, on a sidebar. And then from there, you can hover over these cards to either go into them or have some utilities there where you can save it, download, or query the actual document itself. And then you can have it summarize and do all the things that I feel like now we're starting to get familiar with if anyone here is using AI. But yeah, that's what I've been busy with.
Thank you so much, Miles. Round of applause, please. Awesome. Okay, so we start with our first round again. What did you see? What would you tweet about it? Which hashtag would you use? I would say hashtag AI for websites to start easy. Anyone? Yeah.
Innovative.
What was your name again?
Matthew.
Matthew. What you said?
Just like an innovative take on modernizing websites.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What's your name? Sean?
Yes. I would say like UI reimagined.
Yeah. Morgan?
AI-driven navigation.
Yeah. Interactive. Definitely. Chatbot. Good. Round two. What did you like? Would you use it? Is this your dream website, like Miles? Yes. Rich?
I'm not a huge fan of stuff that pops up and randomly appears on the screen, but I do like the deep dive feature to an extent where you're showing the user not necessarily this is a piece of content I know you're interested in. Here's some other stuff that might be related. That's a good insight to have. I'm not sure I wanted to pop up on you like that, but it's a new, interesting idea. I'd be curious, to integrate that into the site more. We have that idea with related content on the bottom of the page, but to surface it on the home page is intuitive.
Thank you. Naomi?
Yeah, what I really liked was it feels like the kind of data stories you see in the New York Times or something, right? Where you're kind of navigating. But then the added layer of the AI is kind of where those stories are curated. This is being curated by what someone's choosing, I think. So it's kind of making that idea of the story more interactive, so I really like that.
Rachel?
I like that it's really intentional, so you're not getting distracted by a lot of other things. It's like one flow. I think especially in this state of world when everything is a distraction, I like how intentional it feels.
Sean?
I think technology is kind of moving really fast. It's like a really exciting time right now. And I love that we're kind of looking back at old problems and using what we know now, what we're able to do now to solve some of those problems or even just make the experience a lot better. Summarizing pages that you might want to go to but you aren't sure yet that you want to go to is pretty interesting. So, yeah.
And also, in a sense, you're personalizing the content that you can access in a way. And plus, I just love all the animations, everything is so fluid. It's like, yeah, this is my dream website, actually.
Yeah.
I like the prominence of the question bar because I feel like a lot of users would find that one of the most useful tools on websites to figure out where to go and get their questions answered directly.
Yeah, I think if I may say something, I think, like you said in the beginning, people are getting more and more familiar with how to use AI and you're now integrating it to websites. It might not work for every single website, it depends, but I think it will probably take some time until people feel comfortable using it, but so far it looks very simple and clear how to use it. Anyone else? Good. So, third round then, what do you think could be improved? What are you missing?
At first I misread the name.
So our fate.
Second? No? Yes.
I have a question. Was this going to be like a guide, like a silent guide, or is this like a Google plugin for websites?
We can network after this, because I'm not allowed to respond.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Are you missing something? Yeah, Rich.
One of the things I noticed when I first went on the site is like, oh, there's no menu. I think we as users are trained to look for the menu at the top of the site and search box at the top of the site. That I don't know if there's any. I kind of like this at the bottom actually. That it's like you're getting straight into the content and not distracted by the menu, all the menu links, and trying to figure out where the content is on the page. But I think we as users are trained to do that. So either figure out a way to get them to that bottom search box or that query box, or getting that up to the top of the page where users are more familiar with it. But the entire pop-up seems like really good UI. That's an extension of what I'm thinking.
I was thinking about the menu bar as well. Would be interesting if maybe people could, like if you scroll, if it then disappears, to pay more attention to what's actually happening on the site, or maybe to think about if the user could choose where they want to have the menu bar. I don't know, just thinking out loud right now. Great. Sean, right? Yeah.
I'm guessing there's like a flow to these, this session. Are we not allowed to ask like?
You are allowed to ask, but that's a way of giving feedback, like negative feedback. So you are allowed to ask, and he will receive it and talk to you later about it. So what's your question? You can share it.
Like, would this be tied into something like Claude or ChatGPT, or are you gonna like build a custom LLM, or is there like a service that does LLM for your site so you can ingest all the information, kind of answer your questions in that word chat box? So it's more on the technical end of how you imagine it working.
Right now?
Yeah, I'm always skeptical of websites that make me do work to find information. So I don't know what question to ask.
Yeah, especially if you don't know what you're looking for, what it is. Yeah. Alex?
As an observation, the style of the site looks a lot like the SpaceX site.
Yeah.
That was explicit. That's cool. But my feedback though is I'm super keyboard driven, and I love keyboard shortcuts. My favorite program is Alfred, and whatever like Drupal, we have a coffee module that does something similar. So it feels like you're getting there with this, like get the keyboard as part of the interaction, which is not common in websites these days except for search. That's cool, but how does that work on a phone? So that's my rhetorical question.
Anything else? Yeah.
Maybe some sort of voice for the chat box. Might be good for mobile.
Just accessibility in general, I think.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Miles.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. And we're done over here.